Okay, so what's up, everybody? This is Mr. McCoy here with a part of his creative crew. We just here chilling, sitting on the back pavilion of Garland Hayward Youth Center, just talking about life, talking about what we know life to have been. As you guys know, as we were talking earlier, it's been a year since COVID. All right, so we're now in March of 2021. The COVID crisis really began to hit hard in our country, at least. This time last year, about a week ago, it was maybe the anniversary. Um, so today, our topic, or our conversation, has been what we call COVID Chronicles. So basically, what we want to do is just to kind of talk about what you guys think about what has life been like for you over the last year. What do you see that's different? What have you noticed about this whole COVID crisis, and how has it affected your life personally? And also how has it affected the world?
Um, we can't see our family as much.
Yeah.
We have to be at least 6 feet wearing a mask. And it's kind of messed up because normally before COVID, we would go over there every day, maybe, and, hug and at least spend time with them. Now we can't really do that as much because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So they try to suppress that.
Okay. Thanks, E. Ms. Bonneville.
COVID has changed because you can't do the normal stuff that you usually do. Just like E said, you can't visit people like you want to every day. And you have to wear a mask all day. You can't take it off unless you're like 6 feet apart from somebody. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a time. Not a time limit, but there's like a people limit inside stores.
Mhm.
Like some stores, it has to be at least 16, maybe, probably less than that.
Okay.
And it's kind of harsh though,
Yeah.
because COVID has really changed our world a lot. We have to sanitize things a lot more than we usually do.
Yeah. True. Thanks, E.
So, COVID has been, I don't like it, because we have to wear masks like Tashara and E said, and we have to have limited people, and we can't see our family. And like in school, some of us can go in school, and some of us are virtual, but when COVID started, we couldn't go in schools at first, so we were all virtual. And sometimes it gets like a little bit hard and a little bit frustrating when the teachers are talking to the students in the classroom instead of telling us what we're supposed to do in the virtual. And we all get confused and ask like the other classmates, like, what did the teacher say, because we're confused, and how did it work? And it's very difficult with COVID because we have to wear a lot of masks. Again, I just said that again.
That's
And
cool.
we can't, okay, and like restaurants, they have to like sanitize and
Mhm.
keep us safe, and we have to have hand sanitizer and make sure we hand sanitize. And the vaccine is supposed to help, but I guess it only fights off a little bit, and some people still get sick from the vaccine. And I'm just trying to be careful and still thinking of if I want to go back to school. So
Thank you, Anaya.
Yeah, like COVID started off as a joke at first
Mm.
because we didn't know how deadly it was.
Mm-hmm.
And like when rumors started going out, like people have died from it, that's when it started getting serious. And I think it was like March, I don't know, like 20th or something like that. Like they gave us a 2-week break from school,
Right.
but then they extended it like a lot longer than what it's supposed to be. And like I don't know, like COVID has really changed how we live nowadays.
Yeah.
And to think that it's already been a year is kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, it's crazy. Time has flown. London?
COVID, like, when you're in a classroom, like, some classes don't have, like, the classrooms are small, so I can speak from my point of view because that's how our classroom is. Our classroom is small, so we can only have a certain amount. Like, other classrooms can have a different amount of students in their classroom because their classrooms are bigger. And, like, sometimes when you go to school, the teachers are very strict on their rules because they want us to stay safe. And also, COVID has affected us by transportation. Like, when we travel, we have to be very, very careful. Like, when COVID started getting serious, like, there was very little amount of stuff that we can do and, like, where we can go. And then it affects us, our eating habits and stuff.
Okay.
I noticed that, like, when COVID and quarantine started, everybody just like, it's not they didn't give up. It's just like they didn't stop caring. It's just that they really didn't have nothing else to do. So all they did was eat, sleep, and do whatever entertains them at home. But you still had to be careful with what you got at home because they were starting to say that it was like airborne, so you had to be careful of what you was doing.
So how did it make you guys feel? When as E said, at first it was like, it seemed kind of like it was kind of funny, and not funny, but people didn't take it seriously. It was kind of like there was some jokes about it being like the flu, and then people calling it Rona and making kind of like jest about it. But then when it started really hitting, it started getting real. It just kind of changed everything. How did it start to make you guys feel? E and then Tashar.
It made me feel a little sad because normally I would hang out with friends, but now we can't do that as much.
Yeah.
Because we have to wear a mask everywhere we go.
Right.
And we have to be at least 6 feet, so we can't really have normal conversations.
Yeah.
And like sometimes I would go out and play, sports with my friends. Now we can't do that because the 6 feet policy.
Right.
And it's kind of really messed up because we really don't know how COVID started.
Right.
Some people say it started from bats. Some people say it started from labs, and it hit us when we didn't know, like when we likely unexpected it too.
Ms. Bonneville.
When COVID first hit, I was sad because I don't know, it was kind of scary because they were shutting down a lot of things, and they was had a kind of like a bedtime for people to be in, and you had
Curfew.
Curfew.
Yeah.
And you couldn't really do anything. You had to stay in the house. You went to work, came back, and that's all you did. You couldn't really go to the store, stay in there for a long amount of time. So it really did hit worse than everybody thought it was. Like they said it was like the flu, but it's really not.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot deadlier than the flu because the flu, it would just get you sick, and it wouldn't kill you or anything.
Right.
But now COVID, it's similar, but it's not similar because COVID is like the upgraded version of flu.
Yeah, it's definitely dangerous.
COVID is killing people now, and it's kind of scary because a family member of mine had it, and we was kind of scared because we were around them when it happened, and to think that COVID has really hit near where we live, it's kind of scary.
Yes, you go.
COVID has really affected many people. Some people have lost their jobs, and it's very hurtful. And some people lose their houses because they can't go to work, and they've been in shelters trying to survive. and it's been really hard for people. And for me, I feel really sad because 3 people in my family have had COVID, and my papa has had it 2 times, and my mom had it once, and it's like really scary because we had to get tested because we were like vibing, but thank God we tested negative. But you know, it's like really painful around COVID because it really hit deadly and nobody expected it. And now we have to wear masks, and some of us cannot breathe. And some people sometimes refuse to wear their masks, but you have to because Governor Hogan will shut everything back down. But right now he's like opening things up, but we still have to wear our masks to keep us safe.
Still got to be careful, right?
And one thing. Well, the flu it was killing like thousands of people every year, but COVID it kills like I don't know how many people, but a whole lot of people every year. Even though it's only been a year, but
but
a
there's
lot
been
of people have lost their lives, their homes, their jobs, their cars, everything.
Yeah.
So like my papa, like my family, like at least 5 of my family members had it, and it was scary because it was like you still have to be careful, and then we wasn't around them, so we had to get tested. Luckily we did test negative, and like my papa, he's still on oxygen and stuff, like he been in and out the hospital, but he keeps getting tested and he tests negative, but still like you just gotta be careful because somebody can have COVID and not have symptoms. You can
Right.
and then you can pass it to somebody else and then they have symptoms. Like
Yeah.
And then some people just have the 2 symptoms, they don't have the other ones as bad as other people. Like I know.
So there's a lot of stuff that we still don't know, you know what I mean? Because everybody doesn't have the same symptoms, right?
And like
So that makes it even scarier because it's like you really don't know who could have it or who doesn't, you know?
and that's why like the doctors wear extra masks,
Mhm.
so because they say never know. And like sometimes the people stay overnight when they have COVID, and some of them go to the hospital. Sometimes they go to the nursing home, and some people sadly die.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's really scary because we have to be safe, and we have to keep our family safe,
Right.
and we just have to keep doing this until COVID ends.
Right. And we don't know when that might be, but here we are now a year later, right? Do you guys feel at least a little more hopeful now, or what are your thoughts now? I mean, because they're talking about vaccines, they're talking about having it kind of starting to reopen things. Some of you are physically gone back to your schools, and so how are you guys feeling now? Do you feel any hope for a positive future? We'll start. Then we're gonna ask these 2 last questions. This is one of them. Then we got one more question. Then we're gonna let everybody go. So we'll start with E.
I feel like COVID has suppressed a little bit because not as many people are getting it nowadays. But I mean, it's still deadly because like London said, you could have symptoms and not even know it and pass it on to someone.
Right.
And it's just scary because like I said earlier, like you could have it and not even know it, and you could probably die from it and not even know. And like my dad had COVID a few months ago, and he said he was feeling like he was about to die. And my stepmom said that also. My sister had it too, but she didn't have like as many symptoms as my dad. The only symptom she had was that she couldn't smell, but it's just scary.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really know what else to say. It's just scary.
That's fine. Thank you.
What was the question again?
How do you feel now at this moment in time? We're a year out. We're a year out from the onset of what we know COVID to be. Do you feel hopeful? How do you feel? Are you still in the same place, thinking about the fact that we have reopenings now and vaccines now and so on and so forth? How are you feeling now versus last year?
I'm not saying I feel hopeful because you never know. I feel maybe a little bit relieved because COVID is still out there and some people are still getting attacked by it. And it's COVID and it's formed by air and you could catch it without any symptoms, like he said. And you know, you just never know. And I'm a little hopeful because like the vaccine, they say they work, but who knows? And like I'm kind of scared with the vaccine because what if they say kids could get it and I really don't want to get it because I'm scared of shots.
Right.
But it's like really scary and sad that all these people are dying and they're suffering with COVID. So it's just I'm a little hopeful and a little relieved, but you just need to be safe.
Still more. We still need more time to see.
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't really feel hopeful about COVID because, well, I do because in the future I feel like it might die down a little bit, but it might be just like the flu, like seasonally, and you can still catch it, but it's not all year around. But like when it first started, but I think it might be a little bit seasonally, maybe like I don't know, like 5 years or 10 years from now. But right now, you just have to still be careful. Even 10 years now, 20 years now, you still have to be careful because just like the flu, you can still catch it, and then you cannot know it, and you can still pass it on to people.
Thank you. How do you feel? Do you feel a year later? How do you feel hopeful? Do you feel different than you did when it first started, or do you see maybe like the light at the end of the tunnel? What are your feelings now?
I feel like it's dying down, but it's not dying down as fast. It's like going slow. And we just gotta be careful of what we do, and even like sometimes like on YouTube, like some of the couples are breaking up because like they grow apart from each other because you really don't have nothing to do. Like you just get bored. Like, you just. It's not that you don't like them or you still don't have love for them. It's just like you don't have nothing to do. It's just like say if you're in a relationship with somebody and you live together and then all this like hits very, very hard and you just wake up to the same person and you just get bored. Like,
Okay, I see your point. Back in the day, we used to call that cabin fever because you had to be in quarantine or because you had to be on lockdown. You get tired of seeing the same faces every day, stuff like that. Yeah, so that has definitely. I'm sure we've all gone through that phase as well with this whole thing.
And no offense to like the people I'm about to say, but like in China they were already wearing masks.
Right.
So I guess that was a sign. Whoever knows. But all I'm saying is guys just be safe.
Right.
And maybe they had already knew about it, but they just didn't say nothing because, well, for doctors and nurses and nail shoppers, it doesn't really affect them because they wear them all the time.
Yeah, well, and I think that had more to do with a lot of other things, not just COVID or any airborne illnesses, but there's a lot in some areas where there was a lot of pollution and other things. A lot of them had already chosen to be careful. And some people even over here in this country were doing the same thing. I've seen people who used to walk around with masks on before it became popular to walk around with masks on because, some people were, may have like poor immune systems, so they had to kind of like, wear masks and things like that just to be safe and careful. So now, a year later, what do we need to do now? Okay, we got masks. We have all these other things. Should we? What is our responsibility now? Even a year later, I'll start with Anaya, and then we'll go around to Anaya, London, to Shira, and then E.
So first, I already said this, but we just need to be safe, and we already have masks and stuff. But maybe they can make like something, like a technical thing where they can, like I said, maybe. I seen something in the store where it sanitizes your phone and your stuff. So just clean stuff. And
Okay.
maybe they could build like maybe a tech thingy where they could like walk through it and all the germs could come out. And but pollution is still there because like let's see, what is it called? Pollen. There we go.
Pollen. Okay.
Pollen can get you sick. And if you have, there's still there. Well, is it still?
Yes, more or less, it's coming around. Yeah.
So the flu is here, and the COVID was already here.
Right.
And if that's mixed together, That's
Mm-hmm.
really, really, really bad.
Right. So we
So-
still got to be careful with certain things.
That.
Because thousands of people die from the flu, and then I don't even know, like hundreds of hundreds of thousands of people died just this past year, 2020. So with that, yeah, that's not gonna be good.
Right.
And
So
some
we definitely got to practice precautions
Some
still.
people in 2021 thought that COVID was going to be gone, but it is still here.
Yeah, it's still here. It's not gonna go away no time soon.
Yeah.
Mm.
And maybe if somebody predicts that it might go away, that's fine. But I would still wear a mask even if it gets over, because you never know if it's still airing around or still will come back.
Right. And like Ms. Bonneville said earlier, like Tashara said earlier, this may become just like annually, like we got to be, practice precautions because of flu season, that we may forever have a COVID season. So we just don't know where this is going to go, and not to rain on anybody's hopes, because we definitely want to do whatever we need to do to practice safety, but this could be around for a long time. So what are some other things that we need to do? Okay, we want to stay careful, right?
We definitely have to still like adapt to COVID being here, because like sometimes I even forget to carry a mask in the store, and it's just like we're still getting used to it. Although we've been in this pandemic for a year, it's just like it's still something we need to like I said, adapt to, because we're not used to having all this in the world. It's like when you're first born and you're learning how to take your first steps. It's like I don't know how to explain it. It's just.
Well, I think you explained it very well with just that. This is something new, so we're still adapting and adjusting to it. Very well said. Yes, sir.
I feel like if you have COVID, you should go to like a center where like they keep you in like a separate room by yourself,
Mm-hmm.
or by yourself, like where you're like you have things that normal people do,
Mhm.
but like you have to stay in that room. Like people will come and bring you stuff,
Right.
like sanitize your stuff for you,
Mhm.
or you could do it just yourself. Like anything like that could
Kind of
COVID.
self quarantine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even think about this though, because the hard part about that is you're sick and alone. You know what I mean? Which is another thing that COVID brought about. There's a lot of people who literally died alone. I mean, they were sick, they were in the hospitals, they were in quarantine, they were dealing with this all by themselves. You know what I mean? And that's got to be pretty tough too.
And like maybe or it'll still be here. Maybe if COVID was still here when we grow up, we'll probably still have to do the same cycle over and over again, because COVID is just so dangerous.
Right.
And COVID, it can do many things to you. It can put you in a hospital. It can put you in anything. And you just gotta be safe, because it's just.
Absolutely.
And my mom, she had COVID, and she had to stay in the room, and she said that she felt like she was depressed.
Yeah.
So because since like nobody couldn't go in there,
Mhm.
or she couldn't go nowhere, but she still got in her car, but she wasn't like around people.
Right. She still had to be by
Yeah,
herself.
she still had to be by herself. But on top of that, she was pregnant,
Right.
and then that made her feel more depressed, because like you're sick with this really like deadly disease, and then on top of that you have a baby.
Right. Yeah. All right, guys. So we're going to kind of wrap it up there. But this has been our COVID conversation. What we're calling COVID Chronicles 1 year later. I want to appreciate part of my creative crew. Some of them aren't here, but we got London and Tashira and Anaya and Imari, and I'm Mr. McCoy. That's me. I'm not sure how this looks, but yeah. So we're gonna wrap this up. But thank you all for your time and your conversation, guys. As you can see, your kids are paying attention and they have something to say. This is Mr. McCoy and his creative crew signing out.
Bye.
Peace.